Okay, now we're trying again. It says you're live, Gavin. It says you're live. So look, having some trouble with the YouTube live streaming. Haven't done a YouTube live stream in quite some time because I've kind of been waiting for the apps to get there. And it looks like I was trying these apps a few minutes ago that didn't seem to be working. Let me know if you're hearing me and stuff, guys. Oh yeah, you're hearing me. I'm seeing your comments. This is the brand new YouTube live streaming option in YouTube's native app. I've been waiting for this for literally a year, guys. And because I've done most of my streams on Facebook, because sometimes it's better for getting the immediate news out. And, hey, JD. So, hey, everybody. Good to see you on here. Now, I thought we'd do a little Q&A. I thought we'd talk freedom and liberty. I haven't done a live stream in quite some time. It's a crazy world. And quite frankly, I'm sick of getting trolled and attacked over on Facebook. And so I thought, well, I'll let it have a couple days break, right? They can do without me. Hey, Pop Bob, Paul, Zach. So, guys, thanks for being on here. Let's talk a little bit. You know my videos, my activism, things like that. We've got all kinds of craziness going on with political prisoners all over America, all over the world. I mean, everything from the natives and the DAPL to the Patriots and the Bundys. And I get a lot of flack because I call out the system. I call out the government for this stuff. Hey, guys. And, hey, Dustin. And you know what? We've got to start uniting, getting some unity against the real corruption. Not always dividing on faction. And I'm in the car because I'm on the road. I've been on the road for a couple months. I will be home soon, and I'm going to try and get caught up with some things at home. But I set up out in the car. I actually got my light set up over here so you can actually see me. And thanks to all you guys who are supporting political prisoners and speaking out and being cop watchers. You know, it's interesting. Why do we catch so much flack? You know, you've maybe seen some of my recent videos where I've just engaged with police, right? I've been under attack on Facebook this week from the loyalists because I went down to the Bundy trial protests that are going on in Vegas. And as you saw, if you look at my videos, I actually got attacked by this guy, and I wasn't hurt or anything, but he tried to knock the camera out of my hand, and he was supposed to be one of us. And I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And I realized there's tons of undermining going on, and these people start attacking me because I questioned one of the feds there, and they're all down there palling around with the feds, the same feds who are holding our political prisoners in jail and charging people with fake charges all around the country. Vedin, I think police officers abuse everybody. And I think there's some areas, where maybe they target blacks more. Some areas maybe Mexicans more. I think there's even some areas where they target white people more. I think it's whoever is weak, whoever is the downtrodden is who they're going to take advantage of. Whoever they feel like can't fight back, that's how a bully works, all right? So I'm going to take some questions. Let's talk about how we can take action, right? Because it's getting toe-to-toe that makes the difference. That's what turns the world upside down. That's why they get so angry with me and others like me as we see people speaking out. Because when you get toe-to-toe with the foot soldiers on the ground that are abusing us, instead of the elite upper-class politicians that delete your emails, when you send them here, let me see if I can... Let me see if I can ban the trolls on here as we go along. Looks like the YouTube app is looking pretty good. So you trolls, I can ban real fast. How about that? And you can enjoy the trolls. Thanks, guys. The trolls can enjoy their right to speech on their own channel instead of attacking mine. And so, do I like Trump? There's a question of the day. You know what? I love all my neighbors and that I want people to be free. I want justice. The problem with Trump is that he's not defending the Constitution, right? And so we have rhetoric from both sides. Let's talk about that really fast. I don't want to go into a huge diatribe on Trump because Trump's not going to fix this. When Obama's in, right? Obama's in and he's doing tyranny. And all the conservatives are saying, oh, look, everything he does is treason, right? And it's like, okay, well, yeah, maybe. I mean, he's violating us. Now Trump's in and it's just flip-flopped, guys. It's just flip-flopped. Now all the left side is saying, oh, Trump's the worst person ever, and the so-called patriot conservatives, a lot of them are just defending whatever he does. I don't know if any of you guys saw it. I posted on my YouTube page this week But Trump does a video where he's flat telling the sheriffs he's going to work to support asset forfeiture. You got to watch this video to believe it. And, he told us he was going to surround himself with the best people. Well, the best people didn't even bother to defend our rights. They didn't even bother to defend the Constitution. He had a bunch of corrupt sheriffs in the room. And they're like, oh, they're trying to stop our asset forfeiture and make it so we can't take stuff unless we give a trial. And it's like, duh. Have you guys ever heard of the Constitution? Of Article 4 of the 4th, 5th, or 6th Amendments, right? Where's my Constitution? Here, I got a couple. Here's a couple of my Constitutions. Keep them handy. All right, so I'm doing this in a car. I'm only going to answer this one more time. I'm doing this in a car because a car is where I'm at on the road right now, and in the RV are my kids who are loud. So I'm out here with you guys in the car with my light. I'm against all genocide. I think we got to set aside our faction, guys. Got to set aside our faction. This isn't about, let me see if I can adjust it here. It's a little annoying. I got to try and fix this because the comments are on the left, but the lens of my camera is on the right. So it probably looks like I'm going back and forth. So if I'm not looking you straight in the eye, it's because I'm looking at your comments. Here's the thing. Set aside the faction. Set aside the faction. And just stand for liberty. It's not black or white. It's not Republican or Democrat. It's loving your neighbor. It's freedom and liberty and justice for all. End of story. And if you do not support liberty for all, you don't support it at all. Now, sometimes I'm out there and I'm speaking out, right? And people get mad about that. They get mad, and because of their anger, they want to interface their frustration with my face. Don't act in anger. If somebody disagrees with me, that's okay, right? But stop acting in anger. There's a question, too. Have I ever wanted to be a cop? I've thought about it just so I could try and take a stand, but I've realized over the years, and I've seen this firsthand, you cannot be a good cop and stay a cop, guys. People are always saying good cop, and we're going to be talking about that more because I always catch flack for not pretending that we have mostly good cops. If we had good cops, they would be stopping the bad cops. It's really that simple. So, I'm not going to say I've never thought about being a cop, but it's certainly not the solution at this point, because if you stand up and truly defend the Constitution, you will either be in prison, you'll be fired, or you'll be dead. That's what happens. Sad but true. We need a president. We need an executive branch. We need a judiciary. We need people that follow the Constitution. This is the law right here for the federal government, this little booklet. That's all they can do. And so here we have a new president, right? And he's saying, oh, this guy for the EPA and this guy for the Department of Education and all these things. Guys, the federal government's not to be involved in any of these things, all right? That's not their job. Their job is enumerated in this Constitution, just like Ammon Bundy talked about, where they can't own the property, right? And then you go to the natives in North Dakota, same thing there. They've violated their treaties, they're violating native lands, and even more so, they're giving people permission to do things on other people's land, take it by eminent domain, violate treaty land, violate native lands. The federal government has no authority over our land. They have no authority over our liberties. You know who the authority is vested in? The authority is vested in you and me. And here's why. Let me simplify this to its simplest common denominator. I'm working on a new book about law, and we're going to talk about this stuff. But it's not a book about the Constitution. It's a book about the law. Okay? Now, the law is this. It's life, liberty, and property. None of us agrees, right? You all agree. I'm a Christian. Some of you probably aren't. But even the most staunch atheist is going to agree with me that they have their life, right? Their right to their life is their own. Number one, there's their life. To sustain your life, you got to have food, you got to have your property, and to get that, you got to have your liberty. Now, I'm super simplifying this. I go into more depth than it in my in-person presentations and in the book that I'm working on. Okay? But life, liberty, and property. Law exists to protect life, liberty, and property. If it doesn't protect that, if the officer doesn't protect that equally and for all, then it's not law. They're not law enforcement. They're not defenders. They're simply tyrants. And they deserve to be disregarded and disobeyed. The problem is we have no recourse in the courts because they've been completely usurped by treason. And they have a gun to our head. All people deserve respect. And this is important too, because there's this idea that, oh, I have constitutional rights. I have constitutional rights because I'm an American. No. You have rights that are human in nature from God, or natural if you prefer. You have those rights because they are for everyone. Okay? They're for everyone, no matter where they're from. And we say, oh, Americans have rights. America first, right? No, I love my neighbor. Everybody's rights are equal, guys. Now, when you come in to a nation, let's say, the people in that nation might enjoy privileges like voting, for example, because they're a citizen of that nation. But the rights are the same. The human rights, the right to not be searched without probable cause, the right to not be violated, the right to due process. These rights are for everybody. They're not inherent to Americans. They're not from the Constitution. Boom. No. They exist naturally. My rights came upon me. My rights intersected with my soul at birth. Before birth, really. I was a human being before birth. Let's be clear. So, when I was created in the womb, I had rights. Because I'm a human being. And under due process, under rights, unless you can prove that I'm not a human being, then you cannot say I'm worthy of death. That's all there is to it. Okay, next question. We talked about Trump. We talked about law. We covered more about law just now than most people learn in their entire tenure at law school. That's kind of sad, right? That's very, very sad. So I'm just going to go for a couple more minutes. We've been live 12 minutes now. So far, pretty good. Updates on organ trials, right? And here's the thing. We all need to start being the media, because the media isn't the media. I want you guys to start picking up the cameras, right? Doing things like this. But even more so, we all need to start watching the police on the street, confronting our elected officials, and confronting these lawless police officers. Be careful, be judicious, start slow. I don't want you guys all going to jail all at once, because that would be less than ideal. But sometimes we go out. Sometimes we get arrested. Sometimes we stand up, and sometimes it costs us, and that's okay. People keep mentioning cannabis. I'm actually an herbalist, and I know quite a lot about natural medicine. Well, I know a fair amount. I don't want to say I'm like super herbalist. I don't have any marijuana, even though it's legal in Washington State. I don't believe in. Hey. I'm live right now, so don't say anything too crazy.
Welcome.
You can say hello here.
Hello.
It's Lisa Bundy here, people. I'll be done here in just a minute. Yeah, Saunders in there. Just go beat on the door and kick it in or something.
Come in when you're ready.
Yeah, I'll be right in. So, hey, that was Lisa Bundy. We're going to visit with her. And where was I? Let's wrap up here. Anybody remember where I was? I'll try and live stream more often. For the record, I live stream. If you see me posting these other conversations, I either live stream on Facebook or YouTube. I'm looking for, yes, cannabis. I'll finish up with that. Facebook or YouTube. There's not a good solution yet to live stream on both. Otherwise, I just live stream on both platforms. We finally got live streaming on the YouTube native app now. First time trying it tonight. Looks like it's working good. So I'll be trying this some more. If you guys enjoy this, give me a thumbs up, give me a share, give me a like, subscribe to the channel. Keep the word going. But I'm just saying, get your cameras out, get out there, stand up, defend the innocent, the weak, the fatherless, and the widow. That's how we love our neighbor as ourselves. Not by standing around waving our arms at the rock concert at church and saying love, love, love. That's not the action of love. Talking about love isn't love, okay? Love your neighbor as yourself. Defend their liberties. Cannabis. Cannabis has a ton of medicinal value, and obviously, I'm not going to deny that. Now, I was born and raised super conservative Christian, right? I guess conservative is the word. I mean, our founding fathers were actually liberals, but it's not that I was completely ignorant of the Constitution or anything like that, but I was fairly mainstream, homeschooled Christian kid. And at times, when I first started, back in 2014, I'm running for Congress. Everybody's talking about marijuana. I'm like, oh, marijuana is being made the banner of liberty. That's kind of weird. But what I did know then was that the federal government had no right to regulate a plant. And what I learned in studying law more is that no government body has the right to regulate a plant. Marijuana has good medicinal purposes that are important. Okay? It bothers me personally that what drives marijuana is we all want to get high. We all want to be drunk. I think we need to be clear-headed. We need to have our mental faculties about us. I get that people want to relax and all that, but I don't want to be drunken because God tells me not to be drunken. And I know that look, sometimes I'm in situations where I could be shot, right? If I make the wrong move, I could be shot. And I never know when those are going to happen. I always want to be mentally ready to do my best. Okay? Thanks, guys. So, the government has no authority whatsoever to regulate a plant. The regulation of a plant is simply to control us under things like FDA and all this stuff, right? They have all this nasty, horrible drugs. And I learned this when I really started getting into herbs because there's almost nothing that you can be sick with that cannot be treated with herbs. And yet there's tons of diseases that they don't treat with modern medicine, right? It's so supposed to be all advanced. In fact, modern medicine, for the most part, doesn't even treat disease. Obviously, if I cut my hand off, the doctor's probably going to be better at putting it back on than I'm going to do in my bathroom. But in terms of diseases and sickness and illness, it doesn't seem like the system really wants to fix that. Well, God's medicine does. So I'm going to just say this. The government has no right to regulate any plant. And also, let's find our principle. Let's use things for the right reason. Let's not be all out getting smashed and getting drunk and things like that. So there we are, right? Let's get back to due process, life, liberty, and property for all. We're not going to do this through the courts. We're not going to do it by electing more politicians or Donald Trumps. Go back to the beginning of the video if you want to hear my thoughts on Donald Trump. Yeah, we need freedom now. We need to unity. And you know what unity means, guys? I preach unity a lot, and people say, oh, Gavin, you're against unity because you call people out and say that they're provocateurs and things like that, right? No, that's not what unity is. Look it up. Unity is a single-minded purpose. It's coming together for a common goal. So when we're down there, right, and people say, well, we need to have unity with the police. Well, no, I don't need to have unity with the people who violate people's rights for a living. Guys, every police officer, by extension, has to violate people's rights to keep their job. From the traffic ticket to the arrest for some dumb thing, okay? We don't have one sheriff in this nation defending the Constitution. And I've looked, and believe me, if we got one tomorrow, you would know about it because it would turn the whole country into uproar. Because the limitations of this Constitution, our government today is so far away. They're so far away from that it's absurd. And if you truly had an officer standing up to defend your rights and the rights of his people of his county like he was elected to do, it would be uproar. He'd probably be surrounded by an army tomorrow morning. And there's not one. And no, Glenn Palmer is not a constitutional sheriff. There are no constitutional sheriffs in America. Sheriff Clark, definitely not. Certainly not Joe Arpaio, who I believe is out of office now, and he was a tyrant thug. And we got to look into this. We say, here's the problem. Let's close with this. People say, Gavin, you're generalizing, you hate cops. No, I don't hate guys. I prove that in my actions. I love my neighbor, right? There are no constitutional sheriff because none of them will actually defend your rights. People say, oh, it's a constitutional sheriff. I'm like, oh, so they don't enforce any gun restrictions, they don't require permits, and they don't arrest people for fake federal charges? And they're like, well, yeah, they still do that. And I'm like, well, wait, then they're not a constitutional sheriff. Now, I have a video on my YouTube channel. You can search for it after we end here. And I make specific case for why we have no constitutional sheriffs. Now, there's many reasons, but I make the case and I prove it lawfully under the Constitution. And I believe if you search my channel for constitutional sheriffs or good cops or something like that, you'll find that video. Hey guys, glad you're all in here. So we're going to close up with that. But look, people keep assuming, right? We say because a sheriff says Constitution in his speech that he's a constitutional sheriff, or because a cop is polite, because that makes him a good cop. A good cop defends your rights. If he's polite, maybe he should get a job as a clerk at a grocery store. And providing he can actually count, then maybe he'll make a good clerk because he's polite. But politeness is not enough to be a good cop, a good sheriff, or a good defender of liberty, or a good judge. The best tyrants in the history of the world were polite. They were. Think about that. What we need is people who have principle and courage and will defend liberty. We need people to stand up, like Ammon, like Lavoie, like the natives up at DAPL. We need to do it with principle. We need to set aside faction and fakery. And we need to come together. We need to unite in liberty and divide with tyranny by calling out the loyalists, calling out the corruption in our blue line. You cannot, here's one for you to think about. You cannot defend the blue line. You cannot be with the blue line and be with the Constitution. That is the definition of cognitive dissonance, because the blue line, their entire job is violating the Constitution right now. I've proven it. If you want to prove it to yourself, all you got to do is read the Constitution right here and read the Constitution in your state. We need to raise the standard. Stop being afraid to speak the truth. Never be afraid to speak the truth. Be haste to defend justice. Be slow to anger, and be quick to forgive. You guys, I'm going to go visit. Have a good night. Take it on in the comments here. And if you guys enjoyed this, let me know. We'll do it again, and we'll talk about some of this other things, some of these other questions I missed. Also, facebook.com/callmegav is my Facebook page. Make sure you're on over there, because I do live streams there as well. And at the moment, I have no way to do them both. Thanks, everybody, for your shout-outs. A lot of comments in here, so I didn't get to say hello to everybody. But find me on the page. You can also find my website, callmegav.com, if you want to support the mission, or just join my newsletter, things like that. callmegav.com. And hang on, I'm just going to ban a troll here because it'll make my night. And there we go. All right, you guys, have a good night. Keep your voice alive. Your voice is a sword. Take care.